What's up guys, Funtrigger finally back with the deck profile. Today we're going to be going over Prison for Standard, so let's get into the ride line. Any starter you want, I just picked this one because it looks cool. We're playing blue on play, searches your prison, and just add stand for free. We're playing then the one pink, on play, on V, they imprison a card from hand, so it's some straight -1. And then we're playing one copy of Sereph White. Counterblast to 1, imprison up to 2 cards, and then when you have 3 imprisoned during your turn, she gets 10k in a triple drive. So if you go first, she's just hitting 23 by herself. With a booster, she's hitting 36 if it's powered up. So yeah, that's the ride line. Pretty basic, pretty standard, nothing to say about it really. Triggers, Eldereth, this is just ridiculous. If you hit this with your grade 4 turn, essentially, and they don't have 2 PGs or like 70k shield, whatever in total, it's pretty much game. There are games where it's like, I ride into Sereph, hit this, they're at 2, they take 4, they auto die, unless they heal out of it. We're playing 4 into soul crit. This is important because the deck does use a lot of soul, so we're playing 4 of it. Then we're playing 4 vanilla crits. I've seen some lists play 7 and then 4 draw, which isn't that bad, because the deck needs pieces, but I just rather have the extra shield value because you draw it, it's 15k shield, it's not the worst. 3, 10k draw, just basic. And then 4 vanilla heal. You can play around with the ratios and play like maybe like a 2-2 split with the effect ones. It's not the worst, but I just prefer the 15k shield ones, just because numbers. Next, we're moving on to grade 1s. 1 prison, that's it. It's just the way the deck plays. I see some people like, oh, you can play a second, and just because if you whiff, but that, like, you go -1, why play like another dead card in the deck for no reason? So 1 of this. Next, we are playing 4 copies of just regular perfects. You can play the 3 and 1 of the new Elementaria, which I don't necessarily hate. The only reason I'm playing 4 regular perfects is it can come up. There are games where you have 2 PGs in hand, you PG an attack, and then you're left with a PG in hand, and then you need an attacker, so your prison buffs up everything with Sereph, the grade 4. So you can throw it down, and at least it's 6 base, so that at least it can hit numbers, and you have an attacker if need be. So 4 of this. It comes up sometimes, but not too much. Then we got Upgrader. This is like, this card's broken. It'll let you ride into the grade 4 if you don't have it. Imprison a card. Essentially, this turns itself into like another copy of the 4. So you maximize the chance of seeing this if you don't have the grade 4 in hand. Also, you can pitch the 4 to get it from drop with this. It's really important. So 4 Upgrader. Thank God they reprinted this card. It was like ridiculously expensive, like 30, 40 bucks. Next, we have 4 copies of Lifeful. So basically what she does is during your turn, if you have 2 or more cards imprisoned, she gains 5, so she's 13. And then if your opponent's card is imprisoned in your prison, once per turn, per copy, you can counterblast to 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, imprison it, then scry top 5, call something that is equal or lower to your Vanguard's grade. So essentially, this card will thin, search out another card, you can get another copy of it, imprison something, use this, get another card. So for like 3 counterblast, if you have like 1 of these, you can essentially, or 2, you can build a board for like nothing. And also thin the deck to get this. If you didn't ride, then use this to sack, go into 4, and just combo off from there. So it's really good. So this card's really good because it's also a 13k attacker by itself. Next grade 1 is 4 Muna. It's basic. This card's for Wellstra, funny enough. So if your order zone has 3 or more cards in it, so that includes imprisoned cards, it cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects, and she'll gain 5. And then when any player's unit is placed on the rear from your order zone, during any player's main phase, you can Soul Blast and draw. So again, she becomes another 13k base, and then essentially is like a pseudo resist, so they can still target the column. But yeah, so she's 13k. Ideally, if you have 2 of these, they imprison or unimprison a card, you Soul Blast 2 to draw 2. So this is your advantage engine. And she also makes really good columns. So next, grade 2s. We have 4 Cuff Spring. Just on call. They imprison a card from hand and draw, so it's a cycle. So there are games where they are like really low in deck. So you can call this, make them draw, imprison and draw. So in the mirror match, this card's really important because you can play it down and they'll have to imprison this. And then you'll just Soul Blast, call it out, and make them cycle another card so they're deeper into the deck. So since you're triple driving every single turn, you thin the deck a lot more. So 4 of this. The only reason I'm playing this over Mekite, I think, the Soul Blast one, is because it's only on play from hand and it costs a soul. So this is just generic. Then the last card for grade 2s we have is 4 Corner Citrus, the new card from DZ. This card is ridiculous. So what she does is when it's placed on rear guard, your opponent chooses a card from their drop zone and imprisons it. Then if they imprison the card, you can Energy Blast 3 to draw. Then when your grade 3 or greater Sereph Vanguard attacks, if 3 or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned, she gains 10. If 5 or more are imprisoned, you can Counterblast 1 and stand. So this card makes your like ideal kill turn if you go into Sereph, your second Sereph, and you have 2 Counterblast open. You'll have these, you'll swing, you'll attack with Sereph, Counterblast 2, restand. So essentially everything will have a crit. So if they're at 4, they're in kill range. So this card's really good. And also it's the only card in the deck that uses energy at the moment in the English one. So you can place down early, imprison something, Energy Blast 3, draw, and just go really aggressive early game. So that's really good. Next we have grade 3s. This is where mine kind of differs, I guess. I'm playing 4 Penetrate Aqua. I like it because, again, the guard restrict's really good, and it's just another free imprison. I see people play the Soul Blast 1 grade 2 to Perfect Guard, which I really do like, but I feel like this is just way too strong not to play. Just because the guard restrict is just so good, and she's 18k base. You can play maybe like 3 and something else, I don't know. This version of the deck I'm playing is just trying to be as consistent as possible. So with her being 18, you can go like 18 swing at the side if they did defensive, and they have to waste 2 cards to protect a rear guard. And then for the Regalis piece, I'm playing Bracing Angel. I do like playing Forwardall, but the fact is with the meta, with Shiranui and everything, this gives you a soul and then essentially like protects your board and the draw. So the soul is really important for this deck, so just play this card. And finally, last card is 4 copies of Pure Light. I see people play 3, which I understand that, because again, it is a brick in hand. The only reason I'm playing 4 is you want to see this as soon as possible, especially if you go first. So I'm playing 4 of this because you can go Upgrader or this. Ideally, this is you'll get this turn forward, you'll ride up into it, and then just keep on hitting pressure. They generally die during the second Sereph. So yeah, this card buffs up your field. Essentially, this card, the most important aspect of this card is it rips 2 cards from their hand and their soul. So the -2 from hand is really important, especially when you have the Citrus out, so you can swing, get multi-attacks, especially if they're at like 4 or 5, so they're in kill range, and the power buff is just insane. So yeah, this deck is still really, really dumb. I see some Japanese lists playing the 3 with guard restrict, or they're playing like some of the order tech cards or whatever. Those are good, but I'd rather not play a unsearchable one of if I'm not playing Forwardall. Well, you can technically search it off of Lifel, but it's just, you're not going to see it consistently unless you're playing Forwardall to search the one of out. So yeah, so that's what the reasoning I'm playing for this, and like barely any tech cards, because I'd rather have the deck be as consistent as possible, especially with this meta. So you ideally see this turn 4, and if you don't, you can at least have the Upgrader in hand, so you can pitch this and then get it from drop, whatever, with Upgrader's effect. So yeah, because if you're playing 3 is good, but there are games where you damage one, and then you draw or you soul charge a bunch of your heals, so you don't really have anything to do. So you're stuck on the regular Sereph, and you're just hitting for 23 triple drive every single turn, trying to draw into this when this is your win con. So yeah, that's why I'm playing for this. So yeah, that was the profile, guys. Rate, comment, sub. Thanks. I'll probably have more videos up in the next week. I'm just waiting for some cards to come in. Bye.